Today is November 25th, 2019. My name is Joe Todd. This is an interview with Robert Haynes in Coffeyville, Kansas. Sir, where were you born?
I was born in Bartlesville.
Bartlesville. And when's your birthday?
March 19th, 1940.
1940. Who is your father?
Paul S. Hains.
And your mother?
Leela Bell Haynes.
B-E-L-L?
Yeah, Russell was her maiden name.
Okay. Did you go through school in Bartlesville?
I did.
You graduated
all the way.
what year?
1958.
1958. Who was your favorite teacher?
Oh my gosh. Surely I can't focus on just one. Well, I think probably in grade school, Mrs. Wright or Mr. Gillum. Junior high, Mr. Littlefield. Senior high, Mrs. Spencer. Mrs. Shields. A couple other nice teachers come to mind, but I can't think of their names.
Okay. Why were these your favorites?
Why?
Why?
Oh, because I think they were excellent teachers. I learned something from them.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably, and they were nice people.
Yep. What type of work your father do?
Originally, he worked for Phillips Petroleum Company in the data processing center, which in the 1940s was shuffling cards on it, he said. Then he went into business with my grandfather, and they owned a greenhouse business for 50, 75 years, a long time.
Did you work in the greenhouse?
I did, yeah. I started when I was 12 years old.
What'd you do?
At 12, I just did cleanup work, crawled under benches and pulled weeds and put pots away and just anything, that a 12-year-old could do.
Yeah. What'd you do for recreation in high school?
Recreation in high school. Well, wasn't active in sports because I worked at the greenhouse, my dad's greenhouse, after school every day and on weekends. So mainly my recreation was with organizations and primarily with DMLA, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you climb the mound?
Oh, yeah. I don't remember when, but yeah, I've been up on top of the mound in Bartlesville.
What'd you do up there?
Looked down on Bartlesville and then came back down.
Okay. You climbed Circle Mountain?
I don't climb it. I've driven up it and been on Circle Mountain, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a nice view of Bartlesville too.
Did you go to the Christmas parties that Frank Phillips had for all the schools?
Oh yeah, where he gave away the silver dollars and the
Yes.
candy. Yes.
Tell me about those. What were those Christmas parties like?
Well, just big gatherings that I remember. To be honest, I don't remember the entertainment or anything like that. I just remember a lot of people, a lot of kids, like me, that were there. And I don't even remember being handed the candy or silver dollar, but I still have the silver dollars.
Okay. What'd you do after high school?
I went to college at Oklahoma State University.
Okay. What'd you study?
First year I studied engineering, civil engineering, and decided that was not what I wanted to do. And so after that I studied horticulture.
Okay. And got your degree what year?
1962.
1962. What'd you do after you got your degree?
Came home and started working in the business until I got a draft notice in February, March of '63. Less than a year later.
So when did you go into the service?
That would have been in April of '63.
April of '63. Where'd you go for your basic training?
Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Fort Polk. Tell me about Fort Polk.
Oh, goodness. What do I remember about Fort Polk?
Or tell me about basic training.
Basic training. I remember long hikes. I remember the rifle range. I remember one story where we went to the rifle range to qualify on the rifle, and I think it was Sergeant Major or someone like that asked for everybody with a college degree to raise their hands, and me and another fellow raised our hands, and he says, well, today's going to be a safety orientation, and we think you'll be safe enough. We won't have you go to the rifle range, which I thought was pretty nice, except he said, I need somebody to dig a ditch around all the tents, and that's what I ended up doing the rest of the day. So the other fella, he went in, he was a typist. I wasn't, he was a typist, and he went in and did a lot of typing.
You go on bivouac?
Yes, I remember the hike back. I don't remember bivouac itself, but I remember the long hike back.
Mm-hmm. How long was the hike?
Oh gosh, seemed like it was, I don't know, 8-10 miles with packs, and I remember it was dark before we finished.
How much that pack weigh?
I have no idea, no recollection. I just remember I was carrying a pack.
What rifle did you train with?
M1.
M1.
Yeah.
Okay. How long did basic last?
About 8 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
8 or 10 weeks, something like that. Yeah.
What's your most vivid memory of basic?
Oh. Well, emotionally, the thing I remember is being very lonely. Beth and I had been married only, 2 years, less than 2 years, a year, something like that. Mm-hmm. And that was the first time away from her, mm-hmm. So I remember that. And the typical, hurry up and wait, basic training, and just going through courses and training, marching. Nothing real special. I remember the breaks, just sitting around with the guys and talking about everything and nothing.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about your drill instructors.
It's been too long. I don't really remember anything other than just a general feeling that, they were pretty demanding, mm-hmm. and, were always trying to keep us mm-hmm. on the go and in line.
After basic, where'd you go?
After basic, I went to Officer Candidate School in Fort Benning, Georgia.
Okay. Tell me about OCS.
OCS is the first part anyway. It's kind of a world of its own. If you think basic training is highly structured and demanding, OCS at that time, particularly the first half of it, most of the training was excellent, and I remember the coursework and everything was top notch. Mm-hmm. But the tactical officers that were in charge, one of their goals was to see if they could break you, and so there was a lot of verbal and mental harassment just to see, and a number of the men didn't finish.
Okay.
But it was excellent training. Someone told me at that time it cost $1 million to put someone through OCS. It was 6 months program. Let's see, it took me 7 months to go through because they changed the structure part of the way through, and we were actually put back a month and did retrain. I'm not sure exactly the reason for the restructuring, but all the units were put back 1 month for some reason and kind of restarted the program from wherever we were. I think we were in about 6 weeks of training.
Okay, now was this infantry basic?
This was infantry, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Infantry
Fort Benning.
OCS.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, infantry, yeah.
Now, what's your most vivid memory of OCS?
Oh, gosh. Well, there are a number of things. Like I say, they were there to maintain a high degree of discipline and to see if they could break you down. It was a lot of spit and polish. Not only did, the buckles and the boots have to be polished, actually our floor had to be spit polished in our rooms. Mm-hmm. Therefore, we couldn't walk on them. We actually had to maneuver around the room on furniture because you didn't want to try to spit polish your room every day. And I don't know, to give you some ideas of kind of how they were real particular. Everything had to be exactly right. And one day, the tactical officer came in and inspected the room and found a mosquito on my side of the room, and I got demerited for that. Stuff like that, just anything to harass you in the beginning. But everything was done at double time. If you went to eat in the mess hall, again, the first half of training through the first 3 or 4 months was it wasn't torture, but it wasn't a comfortable mess hall setting. You had to do chin-ups before you went in. You had to eat on the square, if you know what that means. Exactly, yeah, exactly. You had to eat on the square the whole time, sit at attention, eat on the square. You weren't sure what you were eating at times because you couldn't really look down at the food. So, things like that, trying to outdo the tactical officer, after hours, some of us would try to order pizza. It couldn't be delivered it wasn't allowed to be delivered to our barracks, so it was put in a dumpster and someone snuck down into the dumpster and got it. Stuff like that, just what young guys do from time to time just to have fun.
What quarters did you have at Officer OCS?
What?
What quarters? The barracks with the...
Yeah, they were just, I don't know, I would say, they were pretty nice barracks. They were first-class barracks. They were...
Was it the open barracks, the old World War II wooden
barracks?
barracks?
No, they were probably 3 stories high and more like a dorm setting, I would say. 2 men to a room, with the bathrooms down the hall and stuff like that.
Okay.
It was first-class setup. And like I say, the training was first class.
So
we went through all types of training.
Yes. When did you get your commission?
In January of '64.
1964.
January '64.
So you got your commission. Where do you go?
Go to Fort Hood, Texas.
Fort Hood.
Yes.
What'd you do at Fort Hood?
Well, that was at that time anyway, is a big tanks and armored mechanized infantry and stuff like that, except I ended up as the only officer in the 178th Replacement Company.
178th Replacement Company?
Mm-hmm.
What'd you do in the Replacement Company?
Actually, I did nothing in that company for a while. I was reassigned to the Adjutant General office, and I pushed papers for probably a year or more. And then the unit, the 178th Replacement Company, was given orders to come to full strength. I, being a second lieutenant, was then no longer the company commander. They brought in a captain, and they brought in a first lieutenant executive officer. So I became one of the other officers. And the replacement companies were made up of officers and upper level enlisted men, There was a sergeant major, of course, and then there were several master sergeants and staff sergeants.
Now, what does a replacement company do?
They, basically, under combat situations, they are the people that process people into an area. As they arrive, you process them in and send them on to their units. And so there was no, like I say, no corporals or anything like that. I think we may have had some sergeant, but most of them were staff sergeants.
Okay.
And men who had a lot of experience handling men.
Now, being married, did you live off post or on post?
At Fort Hood, we lived off post.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
How long you at Fort Hood?
Well, let's see, we were right there in '64. I guess I left there in '65. August of '65 I left.
Mm-hmm. Where'd you go?
Vietnam.
When you got orders for Vietnam, what was your reaction?
Well, a little bit of surprise, sort of surprise, with the company being brought up to full strength. Everybody had rumors and ideas what was going on, but we weren't told anything. And I was concerned about Beth, my wife, and we had a young son by then, Brad, and there was some concern about leaving them. But there was also a little excitement, a little adventure involved in being sent abroad.
Okay. How did you travel to Vietnam?
By ship, Navy ship.
You left from what port?
Oakland.
Oakland.
Yeah, I think myself and I think about 5,000 other men were on that ship.
You recall the name of the ship?
No,
Okay.
I have no idea.
When you were on the ship heading out, what were you thinking?
Oh gosh. Again, just taking in the whole atmosphere, going through the bay there and under the Golden Gate Bridge and so on. Just kind of taking it one day at a time. I wasn't really all that concerned about what was going on or anything. It was just doing my job and just enjoying what was going on.
Where were your quarters in the ship?
What were they?
Yeah, where?
Oh, well, they were down. They excuse me. I don't think we saw. I don't think we had a porthole to look out. I think we were below deck, as they say. And there were 7 of us, triple bunk style. There were just 7 of us. That must not have been the right number because there were triple bunks. So there may have been 9 of us in an area big enough to turn around.
Okay. How'd you pass the time on the trip?
Don't remember a lot about just how we spent day to day. We had our hour we could take our shower, our 30 minutes or whatever, and we had mess, of course. I remember the whole 3 weeks we were in the Pacific that I didn't feel like eating anything. I wasn't a good seaman, that's for sure.
Many guys get seasick?
I don't remember. I don't remember guys getting seasick. I do remember the very night. For the most part, the Pacific was real placid and real calm during those 3 weeks. But the night I was officer of the day at night, the seas got to rolling and rough. And by the time I got off duty, I was seasick. And I went to bed, took some Dramamine, I think it was.
Now,
Went to bed.
What's your duty as officer of the day?
Mainly, you walked around the ship with some Navy seaman that knew what he was doing, and you just inspected the ship with him and made sure that nothing unusual was going on.
Did you go through the whole ship?
As far as I remember, we walked the ship. Yeah, we walked the ship, you know. And you know, there was no events when there was nothing.
Did you have any other duty besides officer of the day?
The only, yes, I was given the honor, I think that's been quotation marks, I was given the offer of given a top secret crypto clearance before I left. And I was giving the crypto equipment to take, that our unit had, to take to Vietnam. And that was put in a safe. And then the chain was, and of course it had a combination, a lock on the safe, and then the chain was put around it, and a padlock was put on it. And then each day I had to go down where the enlisted men were, farther down in the ship, and just make sure that safe was still there, and you know, looked like it was normal.
Okay.
And that was my other duty.
Was this a troop transport, the ship?
Was it a what?
Was it a troop transport?
Yes, it was
okay.
a troop. Like I say, there was about 5,000 of us on it.
Are you still with the 178th?
Yes, I was with the 178th Replacement Company at that time. Our unit flew from Fort Hood, Texas to Oakland.
Okay. What were you told to do in case the ship was sinking?
I don't think I was ever told at all. It probably was, but I don't know. I have no idea. I don't remember.
And did the ship go straight to Vietnam?
No. Oh yes, it went straight to Vietnam. The only thing we saw were a few rocks coming out of the water between, say, Oakland and Vietnam.
Okay.
That's the only thing we ever saw.
You didn't stop in Hawaii or anywhere
We didn't
else?
stop anywhere. And passed a few looked like huge rocks somewhere in the Pacific.
Okay.
But we didn't go straight to our destination in Vietnam. We went to Cam Ranh Bay first. And,
You recall
and
the
then
date?
I'm sorry?
You recall the date you landed in Vietnam?
No, it was September, but I don't remember the date.
September 64?
65.
64.
65.
65, okay. Okay. Was there much gambling going on the ship?
Not that I remember, and I don't remember any, to be honest.
Because I've interviewed a lot of guys that are playing cards or shooting
Yeah,
dice.
probably were. You know, I'm sure there probably was. I just don't remember.
Okay.
Remember, the main thing I remember is, like I say, how tight the quarters were and how many men were in a small area. And then when we got down to the enlisted men's area, they basically had hammocks to sleep in, and you know, you just had a passage big enough to get through to. And you know, like I say, each day I had to go down through that area and check on the safe.
When you were off duty, what'd you do in the ship on your off time?
I have no recollection of what I did.
So you land at Cam Ranh Bay, get off the ship.
Well, we didn't get off the ship.
Okay.
Cam Ranh Bay was nothing. If you wanted to get on shore, you had to go with landing craft. There was no docks, nothing at that. And this was 65.
Yeah.
And there was nothing there except a few troop ships docked. Not troop ships, but ships of some sort docked out into the harbor. And there was, I remember seeing some equipment on shore, but there was no docks or anything like that. But LCUs and LCMs would take you ashore if you needed to go. We did not do that. Well, our unit, almost everyone else got off and went ashore. We got on another ship, which was a dependent ship. The Navy, you know, would haul dependents, and it was more like a ship with regular tourist quarters, you know, nice very nice quarters, you know, just, and each one of us had since we were the only ones on that ship, the only military personnel on the ship other than the staff, and we each had our own room, and like I say, it was, you know, I had a bed and a desk and all.
How'd you get from the troop ship to that
You know,
ship?
I'm trying to. I was thinking in my head, how did I get from one ship to the other? Probably with an LCU. But I'm not sure.
Okay.
That's we'd had to have done it that way.
Okay.
I don't know of any other way. But I don't know how we got on and off those ships.
Okay.
To be honest, I don't remember. I just remember it was a really nice ship that we got on. It was small, very small compared to what we'd been on, but the quarters were very nice, and you know, the accommodations were really nice.
Where'd the ship go?
It went down to the mouth of the river that leads up to Saigon.
Mekong River?
No, that's farther south.
Okay.
I'm forgotten the name of the river that leads from the, you know, from the sea into Saigon. But we went down there, and we got off, and then we got on an LCU and went up the river the next day. They wouldn't let us go up at night. We'd go up the next day to Saigon.
Okay.
Yeah.
What'd you do in Saigon?
We were assigned, the 178th Replacement Company became part of the 90th Replacement Battalion at Tonsanute Air Base and in Saigon. And we then did the work of a replacement company. We processed people into Vietnam.
Okay.
I think the largest group was about 300 men at one time, but mostly they were individuals arriving.
Okay.
I was told when we arrived in Vietnam there was about 25,000 U.S. personnel. When I left in January '66, just only 5 months later, there were 100,000 personnel in Vietnam.
Now, what did you do to process the men and send them out?
Well, we would force billet them and feed them then until they got their orders to go where they were going to end up. What else would we do? We'd give them orientation. We would exchange all their U.S. dollars for military scrip, and that's about what we did.
Was there a threat from the Viet Cong at this time when you were there?
No, there wasn't. No threat. We did have perimeter guards, you know, around our cantonment area, and you know there were a few just, you know, minor issues, some gunfire and stuff like that. No one, while I was there, was ever hurt or anything like that. But since it was, you know, on an Tonsanute Air Base, it was pretty well contained. And no, there in '65 there was
Okay.
no.
Have any contact with the local people?
A little bit, not a lot. After a couple of months, the battalion commander arranged for the officers of the unit to sleep off the cantonment area, off of Tonsanute Air Base in a villa in town. And we had a little bit of contact, nothing major. I remember there was a couple of women that came in and cooked for us, cooked noon meals and stuff like that for us.
What was their attitude?
They seemed to be very accommodating, and you know, some would try to, you know, make conversation, or you know, try to carry on some kind of conversation. I didn't speak Vietnamese, and I don't remember any Vietnamese speaking English, but you know, you would try to communicate occasionally. I don't remember any particular incidents or anything like that.
What was your average day?
My average day, well, like I say, once we lived off the cantonment area, for a while we lived in officer billets nearby Tonsonhoot. But once we lived off of the cantonment area, we would take a truck. All of us would get on into a truck, and we'd take a truck to our unit, and then you know, I'm not sure. I'm sure we'd have breakfast because we were set up to do provide meals for everybody in the area. What else did I do? I was after I was there a month or two. The battalion commander asked me to give the orientation presentation, so that was almost a daily event where I have to spend an hour giving orientations to the people coming in. There were new arrivals every day.
What would you tell the new arrivals?
Well, you tell them all about what to expect, where they were, and then that the military, that their U.S. dollars were going to be exchanged for military script, and just the process that they were going to go through. You would also tell them a little bit about what the culture of the country and what to expect. I don't, that, like I say, I talked for about an hour, and I don't remember much of that speech. I probably gave it 100 times, but that's been a long time ago.
Now, why did the commander allow you to stay at the villa off post?
I'm not sure why he wanted us all together. I don't know whether it was a camaraderie thing or what, but he wanted, it was his idea, and that was one of those things we just did what we were told. I don't know why we were arranged to stay off.
Did you get to Saigon? Did you go
into Saigon proper? Yes, I did. I went down to eat, and stuff like that, and just go down and walk around and do some shopping and stuff like that, and just
You have any contact with the local people there in the shops?
Probably, yeah. I'm sure, just like you were in your shopping and stuff like that, and when you're buying meals and stuff like that.
What was the attitude of the people in the shops?
Oh, they were, everybody was always friendly. I didn't notice anybody, frowning or not wanting us to be there or yelling at us or anything like that. They could have said things I had, that might have been negative, but everything I know was positive. I didn't have any negative times. I remember Saigon being very crowded, mostly bicycles and little taxis. If we'd go down from the base down into Saigon, then we'd ride taxis down. I made it, one time I made it into Cholon, which was the Chinese section of Saigon. And that was quite different, but kind of a different culture down there. But I did only made one trip. That was to turn in the crypto equipment.
Okay.
Even though I carried it all the way across the ocean, it was never used. It was turned in.
What quarters did you have in Tonsonhoot?
What quarters? In Tonsonhoot itself?
Yes.
Well, when I first arrived, there were concrete slabs already had been built, and the tents were placed on those. By the time I left, which is 4 months later, this is how industrious our battalion commander was. Most of those tents had been changed into buildings, which were mainly tin and screen wire with tin roofs, structures on top of the concrete slabs. So they're pretty much permanently little buildings.
Okay. And how long were you in Vietnam?
I was there from September of '65 to late January '66.
Okay.
So only about, what, 5 months?
Okay. What's your most vivid memory of Vietnam?
The most vivid memory of Vietnam. It was a picturesque country. And, you know, lots of people. I did not see in combat. I didn't get in any what I'd call difficult situations while I was there. I missed those by sometimes, you know, just a few hours or a few minutes. But I never, you know, it wasn't a difficult experience like a lot of men who went to Vietnam had.
I've heard talk to some people. They said Vietnam had a smell.
Well, yeah, sure. My wife and I have lived in South America, and we've been to Africa. They all have their unique odors. So, yeah, yes, the food, you know, the food was quite different. And, you know, they use different spices and things, and I think that just kind of permeated the area and, you know, the air.
Were you in Vietnam during the monsoons?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in fact, the last, excuse me, the last couple of months, it seemed like it started to rain. I was there in December, and I think it started to rain, and it started, you know, every day. Then I was given the opportunity to go from Tan Son Nhut Air Base up to Nha Trang, which was on the coast, because they were considering putting a replacement company up there, and myself and one of the captains, I've forgotten his name, and I think one other officer, we went up to kind of scout the area and determine whether, you know, what we would need up there and so on to move. And so went to Nha Trang. And Nha Trang had the reputation of being the Riviera of Southeast Asia. So I envisioned, you know, and going up there, enjoying the beaches and everything. Well, you ask about the monsoon. The monsoon season hit big time, and all I saw was roaring seas and on the beach, you know, a lot of driftwood and trash and stuff, and rain. It just poured rain the whole time we were there.
How do you stay dry in the monsoons?
You don't. You don't stay dry. You just do your work out, and you get wet, and you just, you know, it's warm. It's warm, so you don't get chilled or anything, but you get wet. That's why we didn't, you know, we wore the kind of the gear for the tropics.
Do you have trouble with your paperwork during the monsoons, keeping it dry?
That I don't remember having any real trouble with that.
Okay.
Could have.
Tell me about coming home.
Oh, coming home. Well, I was by myself because my time was up for the Army. I'd served 2 years and 10 months, and so I was basically on my own when I, you know, left my unit. I went over with a unit, but I came home by myself. I guess we were on I guess a contract plane, and I wasn't by myself on the plane, of course. It was a kind of a regular airlines that was contracted by the military to bring personnel home. So there was 100 or better, maybe 200. I don't know whatever the plane held on the plane. I remember, I guess, one of the most difficult moments for me, since like I say, I did not see actual combat in Vietnam, was when I was getting ready to board those planes, there was also black body bags. And that was, that kind of hit home. That I was going home, and while others weren't going home in the same condition I was.
The plane landed where?
Plane landed back in Oakland.
Oakland.
Now, we had a stop in Hawaii. That's where I went through customs in Hawaii.
Okay.
Well, we stopped also in Guam and the Philippines, and it was 20-some hour flight. But I landed back in Oakland and processed out in Oakland. And again, I was the only officer that was processed out of that Oakland terminal. In fact, I remember being processed out, and the sergeant that was processing me says, "Well, that's it." And I said, "Where do I go from here?" And he pointed out the door, and he says, "You can catch a taxi out there at the entrance." And that was my experience. And I got to a motel nearby, somewhere in Oakland, I have no idea. And I called Beth, told her, that I was in Oakland, and then she flew out a few days later.
What was your reaction when you landed back in the United States?
Oh, the reaction itself? Yeah. I don't know. I was partially sick, so that didn't happen. I had a really bad cold and sinus infection. That was affecting me. I remember that. I wasn't feeling good. I wasn't elated. I wasn't depressed. I was just, again, taking it one day at a time. I don't think I had any strong emotions one way.
So were you discharged at Oakland? Did you? Okay. After you left the service, what'd you do?
Like I say, Beth met me there, and our young son Brad. He was, I'm not sure, he was a year old then, or yeah, he was walking. So anyway, we rented a car, and it took us about 3 weeks to get back to Oklahoma.
Why 3 weeks?
We just wanted to travel. We didn't want to. We didn't, we were in no hurry, and we went to Disneyland with our son, and saw, Southern California. We took the southern route because it was winter, and we didn't want to get caught in any snowstorms. So we just slowly worked our way back.
You go back to the Haynes greenhouse?
I did, yeah. We went back to Haynes greenhouse, and that I'd left, almost 3 years earlier. So.
When did you come to Coffeyville?
Oh, wow. We came to Coffeyville in 2000. Beth, when did we come to Coffeyville? 2005?
We bought the house in 3.
Bought the house in 3, not this house, in 2003. I guess permanently we came in 2003.
Why'd you come up here?
Our son has a greenhouse here.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was a long journey from 1966 coming back to Oklahoma and getting to Coffeyville.
What'd you do in that interim period?
Well, for a long time, I worked in the greenhouse, and we raised 2 sons in Bartlesville. They graduated from high school there, and one went to OSU and one went to OU. So we have a divided house from that respect. And then after I guess about 20 years in the greenhouse business, Beth and I decided to do something else, and we went to South America as Peace Corps volunteers.
Oh, okay.
And then after we got back from there, I found a job with Peace Corps as a recruiter, and we went from Dallas to Kansas City to Denver with the Peace Corps.
Where'd you go in South America?
Paraguay.
Paraguay. What does the Peace Corps do?
Peace Corps sends volunteers into different countries around the world to help individuals with develop skills, and also just to show them what Americans are like, and also to understand what other people in the world are like. And everyone places the emphasis on the skills, because you go down and you do train other people to do things, live among them and work with them and train them. But probably the cultural exchange is really the big benefit of the whole experience.
And you were a recruiter for the Peace Corps where?
In Dallas.
In Dallas.
In Kansas City, and in Denver.
Okay.
Yeah, I worked in 3 different offices
Okay.
for the Peace Corps over a 6-year period. Yeah, so.
Would you join the Army again?
You mean at age 80? No. I did not. I had a good experience in the Army.
Okay.
Would I volunteer to join the Army? I don't know, but if I was called, I would certainly accept. If I didn't stay in the Army mainly because I had a family and I didn't want that kind of lifestyle. But if I was a single person, I could see myself as a career person.
I'd like to do a word association. I'll give you some words and you give me your reaction.
Uh-oh, okay.
The first one is basic training.
Basic training. Well, I think I mentioned before, loneliness was basic training for me. First time I'd ever been away from home.
Officer candidate school.
Oh, tough. Wondering what in the world I was going to do there. I mean, why didn't I go to ROTC for 4 years instead of OCS? It was a tough 6 months.
Fort Hood.
Good experiences, met lots of good people. Our first son was born there, and Beth and I had, I think, a good experience in Fort Hood.
Troop ship.
Confinement, no appetite, being quasi-sick, seasick most of the time. You talk about an odor in Vietnam. There was an odor on that troop ship that I still remember.
178th Replacement Company.
Well, that brings up Fort Hood to Vietnam. What would I say about the 178th? I met some great people, great men, served with some great men there. I thought I haven't kept up the friendships over the years. I have no idea where any of them are, but they were, during the period I was with them, they were great people.
Vietnam.
Lots of people wondering, in retrospect, was it worth it? At the time I was just doing my job and making sure I did it the best I could. Again, a lot of great people. What else about Vietnam? I mentioned picturesque. I've got some beautiful pictures of Vietnam. I carried a camera constantly and took lots of slides and pictures. What else about Vietnam? The people were always friendly. I never ran across someone who wasn't nice to me in you know, in the right situations. I mean, you know.
Why were we in Vietnam?
Oh. I'm not sure. I am not sure why we were in Vietnam. You know, the domino theory. I was in Vietnam because I was told to be there. But why we were in Vietnam? In retrospect, you know, I thought I was, you know, I served my country, and I thought I was doing the right thing, and I still think I was doing the right thing. But I'm not. I don't know why we were there.
Ho Chi Minh.
No, nothing personal there. You know, historical figure.
Lyndon Johnson.
Well, in retrospect, someone, I think they got greatly misled by a lot of people and misled the American people.
Richard Nixon.
Oh, gosh. I don't know what to say about Richard Nixon.
How do you want to be remembered?
How did me? Oh. Well, as a husband who, you know, who loved his wife and 2 sons, who tried to do the best he could in whatever situation he was in, and you know, I guess that's probably it.
Anything else you want to talk about?
No. I think you probably covered more than I remember.
Well, sir, this is an excellent interview.
Oh, well, thank you.
I want to thank you for your service and thank you for the interview. And again, this is November 25th, 2019. My name is Joe Todd. This has been an interview with Robert Haynes in Coffeyville, Kansas. Thank you.
Okay.